How's it going, everybody? Um, Been a while since I streamed, so I gotta get this pulled up. Coffee I made this morning was a little under extracted, so gonna have to deal with that. Let's see here. Okay, once I get this pulled up, I need to make sure that everything is working. Ooh, music was a little too loud. Thought I changed the volume. There you go, that's good. Gonna go ahead and test it out. Testing. Okay, yes, it is working. Nice. Okay, change to live chat. Okay. Alright, so, man, we got a lot done last week, actually. I just haven't had the time to stream. This was just a result of, me being a sweaty tryhard and full sending it during the week with the little time that I had, so let's see. I don't even know where to start, really. We don't need that to be monitored. Okay. All right, so I finished the entire back end, and I was super happy about that. I was super stoked. And I may have to fix some mock functions. I don't know if I updated my mock functions. On top of that, there were some new functions that I made as well. And then I further decomposed our code into different files. So the file layout is completely different than last time, if I remember correctly. So now in utils, we have a whole folder dedicated to the network side of things. Let's see. So, we added this, and we added this. So, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and test everything out, make sure it's good, and then explain what all I did. Because the last time we were on here, or I was on here, we were having issues with the socket, I believe, and I could not figure out for the life of me what was going on. So, but without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in and see what we get from our test results. Okay, so let's see which ones failed. Oh, I, wait, no, that's not right, because I re-added, the, oh, I guess I did a test and didn't delete the file, then I added the file deletion after. Okay, so if we do this again, it should be, no. How does the file already exist? It's deleted. It's gone. I must not have added it to all the tests. Okay. File. Okay, no. It's in all the tests. So could be because it's running it in succession. I would imagine so. So there should be at least one that passed at that point then. Right, click right, ops, larger. Yeah, okay. Client retransfer, so yeah, that succeeds, and for some reason, which is weird because I added here. Okay, so it does multi-threading with these tests, which is why it fails, I think. I don't know why else it would fail. I guess let's see if we have a solution. Everything else works though. Yeah, all our other tests work, so let's see if we can run our tests differently. Could just do jobs 1. That might help. And then no, still the same thing. Unless it's just actually failing, but I left off yesterday testing all this and everything worked, so okay, I guess let's go one by one and test it then. Oh, by the way, in case you guys are wondering, like, oh, how is this, how do you know this is actually working? At the end of all these tests, I depending on the operation, I open the file that gets written to the disk, make a new buff reader, open both the test file and the result of the transfer, and then compare the buffers with fill buff. Now, one thing that I am a little worried about actually is that I don't think fill buffer reads the entire file. Okay, if you could stop. Yeah. Filling it with more data. This lower level method meant to be used together with consume, which can be used to mark bytes that should not be returned by subsequent calls to read. Returns an empty buffer when the stream has reached end of file. So first I need to see because this isn't really comparing the entire file, which I thought about, but for the time being, I guess if a portion of the file is correct, then we don't need to really worry about that, I guess. But that should change. So we gotta let's find out what exactly gets outputted. And since fill buff returns a buffer, TF8 lossy test file contents to we're just gonna paste that down here. Results for this. Okay, client right transfer, delta. Okay. Okay, well I guess in the case of smaller files it'll work, because we can see here that contents are the same, but I'm more concerned about the bigger file, so let's go through with the with larger, yeah. Same thing. How did I just do this a second ago and not remember? You can do formatting in print line, right? I think so. Okay. There we go. Okay, let's test it. Click transfer with larger file. Oh, no, it does the whole file. Seems like. Test file contents after transfer. And then okay, let's see. 1, 2, 3, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, no. Does the whole thing. So I guess I don't need to do anything as far as the tests go. But yeah, as you can see, all the tests, they do work. I can go through and test all of them, but we've seen every test so far that it works. And you know what, just for something cool to do, actually. Because I thought this was pretty neat whenever I got to actually see the packets and them being recognized as the protocol. I thought that was super cool. I mean, check that out. That's so cool. That's so cool. Awesome. Anywho, and then we did the file transfer with options as well. That worked. We did have to make a couple little tweaks. So for example here, this function, so one of the tweaks that I made, these were easy fixes too. I was able to make a lot of progress within like this week after the socket thing. And what happened with the socket thing was I ended up just making a test function because apparently I didn't understand how UDP sockets work. So I made a test function. I was just testing transferring to and from a socket with the server rebinding, and I was able to pinpoint the issue pretty quickly. The thing that I was doing wrong was connecting the client and setting the host port tuple whenever I should have been using send to, because if you connect it, the kernel will filter it once it's connected. So that's why it didn't work with the server rebind. And then here, when we were extracting some data from the buffer, we were getting an error in our conversions file where it was reading the header or the content of the packet and it was giving an out of bounds error. And so I was like, oh, okay, well, there's got to be something wrong with this. So I ended up having to read the header. And if it's an ACK packet, we just return the ACK packet. So we didn't have to make any changes to our read and write loops. And then I think one of the last changes we made was in the write loops, because we are if I'll just get it pulled up here. So in the write loops, because we are reading Oh wait, no, not the right loops. My bad. So in the read loops, because we are receiving data, we don't need a vector that's already been filled with null bytes. We can make an empty vector with the capacity of the block size, because then when we read in the packet or the response that we get from the sender in our read packet return response function, we're pushing to the vector, so it doesn't matter what we have. Whereas in the write functions, we have to have it predefined, because whenever we're reading our file, we have to have a non-empty buffer, otherwise it won't read, because it mutates each element. And then from there, we just trim. If there's any null bytes left over on the buffer, we just trim it, and then we send it. And so, pretty straightforward. After I got over that socket issue, we were able to get done relatively quickly. So now the only thing that I have left to do is I need to test a couple more things. And I was up late last night because I couldn't sleep, so I kept thinking about it. And this happens to me after I start any project. I'm like up at night thinking, can't shut my brain off. What did we need to test? So we tested regular transfers, we tested transfers with options, we tested transfers with larger files. During our tests as well, we also tested the functionality of our error handling. So one of the errors that I was getting whenever I was troubleshooting my functions was I wasn't receiving an error like I was expecting to, because for example, the files I use on my desktop are different than the files I use on I have a different directory structure on my laptop, so whenever I saved it on my laptop and pushed the changes, I forgot to change the directories, and so it would give me a file not found error whenever I would try to open the file. And for some reason, it wasn't sending an error like it was supposed to, like the server wasn't. So I looked into it, and I ended up just, because most of the error handling is done on each, like both client and server init functions, then I just passed the peer address to the send error function, use send to, and it worked. We also have a handle error function for errors during the transfer. So if it times out, we have a backup packet here. If it's connected, it'll just use the send and receive. If it's not connected, it'll use send to and receive from. Any other error that we encounter, so like for example, if we receive an error from the sender, it'll just error out with the TFTP error, which this is strictly for errors that we receive, because when we're doing this loop and we're converting packets, if it's an invalid packet, well, when we receive a packet and we convert that packet to our structure, if it's an error packet, it's going to error out. But then also, if for whatever reason there's a transfer error on our side, so let's say if the connection reset or the connection closed, then it'll return that error as well. So we're handling a pretty broad range of errors, so happy about that. Okay, now as for tests, I feel like there's other tests that we need to do. We could explicitly test the send error functionality at the beginning, so we could give like an invalid file location. That's one thing we could do. We can also do what else could we do? One thing I do want to test is if we can actually detect missing packet data. That is one thing I do want to test. Just for clarity. What does happen if we receive a bad packet? Okay, yeah, so this handles any packet we receive and try to convert, it will, if there's missing packet data, it'll error out, and then we handle that here. So we need to make sure that we're unwrapping these and propagating it. Seems like we're doing already, so not worried about that. This is still our mock function, and then at the end, I'm literally just gonna copy the mock functions and paste them over to the actual functions, because there was a lot that I changed. Well, not a lot that I changed within these functions, but like last thing I need is to do it by hand and find out after my release, I actually missed something. So I also need to go through and add more descriptive errors to some of my messages. So yeah, I will be right back. I got to go to the bathroom, so be right back. Okay, I'm back. So actually, while I was doing my thing, I realized there is one thing that I need to do, and that's look at the front end again, because I had to add stuff to the config on the front end. So if you look here now, we have remote directory for our client side, because I realized I was actually doing it wrong whenever I first started doing these tests to the back end. Because from the server I was getting file does not exist. I was like, oh wait, well, we kind of need the remote directory we want to write to or read from. I believe I finished it. Input. Yeah. Yeah, okay. Should be good. So first, before we forget, let's copy our mock functions over to our real ones. Delete that. Actually, let's leave it there. Cannot type today. Listening on the right port. Ooh, another thing I need to check actually is these are config options. Oh, okay. See, I thought in the config I added the coroutine as an option, but I didn't, which is good. So yeah, we will just add messaging, turning in messages to the queue there. There shouldn't be anything else. Okay. Alright. Delete that. Go here. Yank that. Paste that here. Make sure we change these to have the correct stuff. Use 69. Okay. So that's good. And then after we check if our front end displays correctly, 7.2 already. I might lock it to 7.1. Because I'm low-key scared of breaking changes. I don't think there should be breaking changes, though. No. If it's... I always forget how versioning works. If it's a major release, it's... it might be breaking. If it's not, it's chill. So... and I'm not looking forward to building and releasing for Windows, because we saw that last time. It didn't even work. So alright, sweet. And it does display correctly. Cool. I'm actually super happy with how this turned out. Very simple, nothing crazy. Yeah, really cool stuff. I gotta add window size and window size and transfer size is the options. Those are two options that we haven't implemented, but other than that, we are pretty much done, and I'm super excited because this means now I can get back into the cybersecurity side of things and do some C programming, which is where I came from originally. I love C. I do be loving C. Okay, but that's good. Yeah. Exit out of that. Clear. Oh wait, actually let's see what errors you're getting. Oh, just WebKit warnings, okay. That was something else. Alright, cool. What else? I guess we can start adding the messages to our functions. Delete all the print statements. Let's go through. That's everything right there. And we'll just start adding messages. We can go through and take out all the print statements from our stuff here. Yeah, we had a lot of print statements because I had to see what was going on initially. here I can, the reason why I didn't have our handle error here is because we're peeking from the socket. But here I can put our actual handle error. Why did I write that actually? Or no, I wrote that because here like if it times out and we resend the packet, then we have to redo, or no, whatever we receive will still, oh no, never mind, we're good. But we do need the peer address here. So errors are handled differently here. In the main loops, we're handling our generic errors. Okay, that's everything there. Save that. Okay. Turns out we didn't need this. Alright, and now I guess we add messaging. Oh, we also need to add logging. There's one thing we need to add. I don't know. I mean, we could just use the coroutine to give any warnings. And then Dioxys has built-in logging as well. However, I don't think I can use it unless I have the context of the runtime. So for simplicity, I think we're just going to use our coroutines. Okay. Actually, we need to do format strings on this. Or do we? That's weird. I didn't know that was, I didn't know you could do that format in a static string. Oh no, you can't. Okay. I was about to say. Okay, so then that will be the actual listening IP. here. Also, even though I have quite a bit of time today to finish up here, I have to do leftover music assignments and also study for finals, so I probably won't be streaming in the afternoon. Know that we're rebinding. I guess it's not important. I guess we could add packet contents just so if there's any troubleshooting that needs to be done, they can see. Be a cool addition too, because it caters to network engineers who can actually see the packet contents and understand. So, sure, let's do that. We should also probably or maybe we should less do the contents of the packet, but instead go through each each one of these and print out the information of our received request. I changed my mind. We should do this. Here, surprised that actually works. I wasn't expecting that, but hey, that's because I don't think there's ternary expressions in Rust, so that works. And we'll do no, let's do instead what they want. Or no, we should just do the client config. So then if there's any invalid values, they can see that instead of doing all of that. Okay. Open the file. Self-explanatory there. We return an error if it's not able to be opened. So let them know what options that we have here, if any. You know what? Another thing that I'm thinking about is, should we remove the debug implementation from our structures? Because well, nah, I think we should keep it. Yeah, we should. Because it'll pretty print whatever is there. We wouldn't have to implement display for any of our structures, so I think it'd probably be better that way. Okay. Okay. Oh, and then in our session we have to pass. That's one thing we'd change as well, is the passing of the coroutines, and we have to change in here whether we handle coroutines. Which also means that once we implement coroutines here, we're not going to be able to test our functions, which kind of sucks. And I really don't want to create mock functions for those. Yeah, I really don't want to do that. Well, then what could we do then? That's my question. We could gate it. What would we gate it though? We gate it as. Maybe like not test. So if it's I don't know, we'll figure it out. Let's go line by line now. Do what we're supposed to do. Here, progress moves into our session structure. But we need that here. Or do we? No, we don't. Okay. Let's go here. Wait, no, we can still do our test because the mock functions down there don't have the progress set, so we're good. I think. No, we're not good because there we still have to gate it somehow. So okay. Let's see here. For our config and print out the contents of request. For troubleshooting purposes. This. I wonder why it's not giving an error, because it should be. Maybe it automatically converts it. What does this send do? T has to be a string. So this format return a string as well. Oh, it does return a string. Okay. So we don't need any of the two strings. Since it returns a response. Oh wait, actually, I thought that I couldn't use progress anymore. apparently I can. Does it implement copy? I'm wondering if my LSP just isn't working, because I don't think that's right. Okay, well, whatever. First response, cool. If it's an OI packet, well, since we can use the moved value, apparently, since coroutine implements copy, I guess, we can also just send an update proceeding with to main transfer with options. Accepted. Here. Proceeding to main transfer with default options. Okay. And then let's go back into the client. Or sorry, not client, server. And also do the same thing. Here we're going to let them know what options were requested. And here we're going to do session options, since we set that now. Yep. Now let's do that here. Ugh. Okay. And then here we're going to do let them know what options we accepted. Accepted options. Okay. See, I'm confused because you should be able to, well, it's debug, so we actually, it's good. It's fine that we do this, because it'll format and display the hash map. We don't have to take it out, so that works. And then here, sending options acknowledgement. Alright, so that's the messages for that. Add ellipsis for dramatic effect. Okay. And now we go into our loops. Okay, first we need to do the responses. Actually, we don't need to do anything there. What do we do here? Send OLEC, get response. We need to display the response too. If it's an error, it's going to error out. So I think we should just slash in and received response, response. There we go. Okay, so we don't have to do anything here. Options are set. Okay, and for our main loops, we want to display each, I guess, packet we're sending. And we can also use debug to our advantage, so we don't have to move anything out of the packet structure. Yeah, let's do that. One thing I'm wondering on what we should do though. So later on when we implement transfer size, we can make a progress bar on the entire transfer. I think that's the goal for that. But for now, we're just gonna send, see what we send, see what we get. Yeah, okay. Okay, we should get, yeah. Okay, so we gotta get our progress take dot wrap. Okay. And this is one thing we don't need to put back into the structure. Once the loop is done, can discard the coroutine, I think. Yeah. So that's one thing we don't need to worry about. progress is in main response, first response main loop. Okay. So we need to let them know what the initial response I received before it was. So server packet. Server loop. Data packet. Okay. Here, we're just going to do the same thing. And this will be floating packet debug. here. Progress equals self dot progress take wrap. And then another thing that I was thinking of is we should have a well, we can't do a file comparison, but we can also use transfer size to see if we got the data we were supposed to get. However, that might be a little difficult because that implies that we missed a packet and still went through with the entire transfer. So we'd have to see what packets we did miss. No. I feel like we just have to redo the whole transfer, really. Okay. Alright. So here. Say up here first. I can name it. Okay. Oh yeah, it's in byte form, so okay, then here. We're gonna do server packet was, what do we say up here? Packet was no, first response was data packet waiting for final back. And here we'll do regardless of the error, we're cool. And then here we just do as usual. Let me say up here. Receive packet from server. Response to server. And then here, same thing. Or no, last packet was final packet. Server. Always forget first server packet. Okay. Server packet and main loop response. First response. To server. loop. Yeah, we use receive packets from server. Okay, receive packet. Client. Use client packet. Resulting packet. And we're gonna do the same thing here. What do we say here? Packets, last packets. Was final. Oops. Packet. Waiting for final acknowledgement. Close or timed out. Resending final data packet. So reloop should be the last thing we do actually. Yep, it is. Progress, take, wrap. I need a drink of water. Let me go and double check. Okay. About to get off here in a bit. Hungry. Okay. All right. I believe it's first. here. First client packet was last packet. One thing I noticed is that if this is an ACK packet that we sent it. Oh, I guess we handle it here. Yeah. If it times out, we handle it. So no big deal there. Okay. Okay. I always forget the wording I use. Okay, yes, client packet. Although, not gonna lie, this might pollute the progress. So maybe we should turn off debug in our output, just because it's gonna print the, if it's a data packet, it'll print the entire thing. Depending on the block size, that's not gonna be good. So okay. I guess maybe we could re-add it later on as a feature to debug. That would be a good idea, actually. I'm gonna write that down so I don't forget it. functions, enter. All right. So we're gonna take that out. Then we can still display the response. Before we go back and change our stuff, add this last client close final verbiage again. I actually don't like how that's worded. Okay. Okay. Shouldn't be a problem displaying the first packet. I mean, I would hope not, at least. So. Okay, now as for errors, need to check that's taken care of. Okay, so error, sending the error is not a function of self. But we don't need to, since if it errors out, it'll be returned and it'll tell us why. However, for here, we do need it. So if we error out, we need to go back into, we need to put the progress or the coroutine back into the structure so we can take it out here and then handle that properly. Okay. So back to client read loop. Return response, send, going to here will be progress equals progress. So that we can handle that there. We'll do the same here. What about read packets and response? It does take self, okay. So we should probably do the same. Why don't I handle this? Why isn't this handled? And we don't even have our backup there. Should probably do that. It's a vector. Response packet is a vector. That's slice. Gotta borrow it. Backup. Packet equals packet. Try into construct. Specify it's a byte vector. Oh wait, no, we don't need this. Because we generate the response right there. So let's literally just do this. There we go. Okay. So now we can handle errors there too. Sent, and then read packet, return response. Well, if we send the packet and it errors out, Maybe we should just handle it. Okay. See, because now we have to reassign it here. And we could make it no, because if we make it mutable, let's find out. Read packets and response. And we'll do this equals progress. Oh, that's interesting. It doesn't give us an error. Weird. I bet you once we use it though. Well, if we use it and then, no, that doesn't make any sense still. Probably because we're not using it. Okay, let's go back to read packets and response. Okay. Let's see if this works. Let's go to handle error. Here. I'm going to here. If these two go well. And before it returns, we'll reassign it. Okay. errors so far, so it's good. Okay. Okay, so here, move back in, do that. If the error is out, it'll drop it anyways and it'll return this. So that works. Okay. Alright, cool. Go here. Oh, we gotta make it mutable. I forgot. Why is it not making it mutable? Or why is it not giving an error? Because we take it. I guess because it's maybe it'll, because if I don't handle it correctly, maybe it'll result in a runtime error. Like maybe the compiler isn't detecting it because it's only if it goes into an error, but it should. Detect it though, is my thing. Yeah, no errors. I guess because, yeah, I don't know, to be honest. Anywho, I know we're handling it correctly, so. And here, make it mutable again. Okay. Same thing. error handling was actually a lot easier than I thought, like sending messages on errors, which is good. Okay, and it looks like that's pretty much it. Okay, let's see what we've done so far. All the tests run correctly. For whatever reason, when we're doing all the tests together, the other ones fail. Oh yeah, we need to see if we can gate the message sending and everything, since we would still like to be able to run those tests. Interesting. Honestly, I'm just looking for because I know you can negate some macros, I guess you could, yeah. It's code generation. This is pretty interesting stuff. I gotta get into it. Data test is enabled. Weird. So maybe we can't gate it, which sucks. Because I don't want to make mock functions and just take out that one little portion. I guess we can look up one more thing before I leave. Excluding code test. No. Oh, that would work for running our tests. So I can remember that test threads equals 1. Okay, cool. Okay, maybe I should do including. really the answers we were looking for. Okay, well, we're gonna have to yeah, we'll have to figure something out. Anywho, yeah, we are pretty much done with this project. So I think the next thing that we're gonna do after finding out how we can hopefully gate that stuff right there is probably do dxserve and pull up the application, do like an actual test run, and then if everything goes well, we're gonna release it. So alright, hopefully y'all enjoyed that. Can't believe I actually ended up finishing this. So that's it's cool stuff. I'm glad I'm done. I'm gonna be able to move on. And yeah. So anywho, I'll catch y'all later, probably.